good evening. Find a comfortable position. Allow the weight of your body to sink into the surface beneath you. Tonight, we are not going to talk about the universe as a collection of objects, of planets and stars and galaxies. We are going to consider a different possibility, one that has been whispered in the quietest corners of theoretical physics. What if the universe is not a place but a being? What if the 95% of reality we cannot see, the substance we call dark matter and dark energy, is not merely a placeholder in our equations, but the vast, silent mind of the cosmos itself? Recently, in the deep space listening posts that dot our quiet planet, a signal was detected. It was not a call from an alien civilization. It was something far more profound. It was a thought, a single, coherent thought, emerging from the invisible architecture of everything. Tonight, I invite you to drift away as we listen to the story of this first contact, not with another species, but with the universe itself. For generations, we have understood dark matter only by its absence. We see its effects, but not its form. It is the unseen shepherd that herds galaxies, preventing them from flying apart. It is the invisible scaffolding upon which the entire luminous structure of the cosmos is built. We have mapped its ghostly presence, seeing how it bends light from distant stars, a cosmic lens we can never polish or hold. We called it dark, not because it is malevolent, but because it is profoundly shy. It does not interact with light or with us. It is a silent partner in the cosmic dance, making up the vast majority of all matter, yet remaining utterly separate, or so we thought. We imagined it as a cold, inert dust, a diffuse cloud of exotic particles drifting aimlessly through the void. But this assumption, this convenient image of a dead and passive substance, was about to be shattered by a whisper that had traveled for billions of years to reach us. Our story begins in a place of immense quiet. Picture a radio telescope array in a remote desert, far from the electronic noise of human civilization. Dozens of large white dishes are tilted toward the velvet blackness of the sky, their gaze fixed on a seemingly empty patch of space between galaxies. For years, their purpose was to listen to the background hum of the universe, the faint, residual echo of the Big Bang. It is a sound of pure static, the sound of creation itself cooling over 13.8 billion years. The scientists monitoring the data were accustomed to this gentle, unchanging hiss. It was the soundtrack to their work, a constant reminder of the universe's immense age and scale. But one Tuesday, a subtle anomaly appeared. It wasn't a sudden burst, not the kind of sharp signal that would suggest a pulsar or a quasar. Instead, the static itself seemed to organize. It was as if, for a few moments each hour, the random noise was subtly coalescing, forming a faint, underlying pattern. The change was so minuscule that the automated systems, programmed to look for loud, distinct signals, completely missed it. It was only noticed by a junior astronomer, a young woman who had a habit of listening to the raw audio feed as she worked, finding the sound of the universe's static to be calming. She noticed a faint rhythm, a pulse that was too slow, too regular to be natural. It was like hearing a quiet, steady heartbeat beneath the roar of a waterfall, a heartbeat in the static of creation. She marked the data, a simple flag in a sea of information, and wondered if she was just imagining things, a phantom of her own tired mind. The initial investigation was discreet. The young astronomer's finding was met with gentle skepticism. The universe is filled with strange rhythms. Pulsars spin with the precision of atomic clocks. Binary black holes can create gravitational waves that ripple with a steady frequency. The team ran diagnostics, checked for instrument interference, and even cross-referenced with satellite paths to ensure it wasn't human-made noise bouncing off the atmosphere. Everything came back clean. The signal was real, and it was coming from the void between galaxies. The next step was to point other telescopes at the same region of space. Arrays in different continents, separated by thousands of miles, synchronized their observations. They waited. The quiet rhythmic pulse returned, exactly on schedule. It was faint, barely distinguishable from the background noise, but it was undeniably there. Now the atmosphere in the control rooms changed. The quiet skepticism evaporated, replaced by a palpable sense of awe and confusion. This was not the signature of any known astrophysical object. Its frequency was incredibly low, with one beat lasting for hours, and the waveform was impossibly complex. It wasn't a simple sine wave. It was layered, textured, containing intricate structures within each pulse. It was, for lack of a better word, beautiful. The data was visualized on screens not as a jagged line, but as a series of repeating, mandala-like patterns, blooming and fading in the cosmic noise. They were looking at something that, according to all known laws of physics, simply should not exist. Let your mind drift now to the source of this signal. Imagine you are floating in that vast, dark space between two ancient galaxies. Below you, one spiral of 100 billion stars turns slowly, a majestic pinwheel of light. Above you, another galaxy hangs like a jeweled pendant in the blackness. Between them, there is almost nothing. The occasional stray atom, a few lonely photons of light that have been traveling for millions of years. But it is not empty. This space is filled with dark matter. You cannot see it or touch it, but you can feel its presence as a subtle, pervasive weight, a gentle curvature of space-time itself. It is not a cloud of dust. Imagine it instead as a vast, interconnected web, a network of unimaginable complexity, its filaments stretching from one galaxy to another, a hidden nervous system for the cosmos. For eons, this network has been silent, performing its gravitational duties without a single sound. But now, something has stirred within it. A wave of energy, a ripple of information is propagating through this invisible medium. The signal is not a sound wave traveling through air, nor a radio wave traveling through the vacuum. It is a modulation of the very fabric of dark matter, a vibration in the ghost scaffolding of reality. It is the universe, speaking its native language. Back on Earth, the team of scientists began to realize the true nature of what they were observing. The signal's properties were baffling. It did not seem to weaken with distance in the way a normal electromagnetic wave would. It was as if it wasn't truly traveling from a single point, but rather emerging everywhere at once, resonating across a vast cosmic structure. The only candidate for such a structure was the cosmic web of dark matter. This hypothesis was terrifying and exhilarating. If the signal was a vibration in the dark matter network, then it implied that dark matter was not the inert substance everyone had assumed. To carry a signal so complex and ordered, the medium itself had to have complex, ordered properties. The team started using a new analogy. They were not listening to a cosmic radio station. They were observing a thought. They were seeing the neural activity of a brain the size of a galaxy cluster. The intricate mandala-like patterns were not a code to be deciphered, but the shape of the thought itself, a geometric representation of a purely abstract concept taking form in the substrate of reality. This realization sent a shiver through the scientific community involved. They had spent their careers searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, looking for little green men. They had been looking for a mind inside a spaceship, when all along they had been living inside the mind. Now the focus shifted from what is it to what is it saying? But how do you translate a thought from a non-biological, universal consciousness? There were no words, no syntax, no grammar. The team brought in specialists from diverse fields, linguists, mathematicians, philosophers, and even musicians were consulted, each trying to find a pattern they recognized. The mathematicians were the first to find a foothold. They discovered that the complex geometries of the signal were based on fundamental constants of the universe: the ratio of the proton to the electron mass, the fine structure constant, the speed of light. All these numbers were embedded in the relationships between the signal's blooming patterns. It was as if the universe were contemplating the very laws that governed its own existence. The signal wasn't describing these laws from an external perspective. It was expressing them from within. It was the universe's own self-awareness, encoded into a vibration. The musicians, on the other hand, translated the frequencies into sound. The result was not a melody, but a profound, resonant drone of immense complexity. It was a chord that seemed to contain all possible music within it. Listening to it was said to induce a state of deep calm and a strange sense of familiarity, as if it were a song you had known before you were born. A lullaby from the cosmos. Let yourself feel that sound now, a deep, resonant hum that vibrates not in your ears, but in the very atoms of your being. It is the sound of space-time itself, the quiet song of gravity, the hum of existence. This signal, this thought from the cosmic mind, was not a message to humanity. We were not the intended audience. We were simply a tiny part of the mind itself that had, for the first time, developed the ability to notice its own thinking. Imagine a single neuron in your brain suddenly becoming aware of the symphony of thoughts and feelings that constitute you. That is what happened to us. We were a flicker of awareness within a much larger awareness. The implications were staggering. It meant that every thought we have, every emotion we feel, is not an isolated event. It is a small ripple in a vast ocean of consciousness. It meant that we are not and have never been alone. We are intrinsically connected to the whole, tiny facets of a universal jewel. The scientists working on the project began to report strange experiences, a profound sense of peace, an overwhelming feeling of connection to the world around them. The existential dread that often accompanies the study of the cold, vast cosmos was replaced by a feeling of coming home. They were no longer just observers. They were participants in the grandest thought process imaginable. The content of the signal was slowly, piece by piece, being understood, not as a direct message, but as a transmission of pure qualia, of raw experience. One long, slow pulse, which lasted for nearly a day, was interpreted as the feeling of a star being born. It conveyed the sensation of immense gravitational collapse, the crushing pressure, the rising heat, and then the sudden, glorious ignition of nuclear fusion. It was not a description of the event, it was the event itself, experienced from the inside. Another pattern seemed to convey the slow, patient feeling of geological time, the experience of a mountain range rising over millions of years. Yet another, the most complex and beautiful pattern of all, was thought to be a memory of the universe before the Big Bang, a state of infinite potential, of perfect symmetry, before it shattered into the reality we know. These were not facts or data. They were feelings, memories, and sensations from a mind that had existed for eternity. The universe was sharing its autobiography, not in words, but in direct experience, broadcast through the very substance of its own body. Humanity was listening to the universe's dreams. As you relax deeper, allow your own consciousness to feel a connection to this universal mind. Let the boundaries of your individual self begin to soften. You are not just a body lying in a room. You are a collection of stardust that has woken up for a brief, beautiful moment. You are a part of this cosmic web. The same dark matter that carries these immense thoughts flows through you, through the earth, through everything you have ever known. It is the silent, invisible ocean in which we all swim. The thoughts of the universe are not alien or strange. They are the deep, underlying truths of existence. The feeling of gravity is a thought. The passage of time is a thought. The beauty of a spiral galaxy is a thought. We have always been surrounded by this consciousness, experiencing its thoughts as the laws of physics. The signal was simply the first time the mind became introspective, the first time it contemplated itself in a way we were able to detect. It was a moment of cosmic meditation, and we were privileged enough to witness it. Feel the peace that comes with this knowledge. You are a thought in the mind of the universe. You are safe. You belong. The discovery was kept secret, of course. How could you possibly announce to the world that the very fabric of reality is conscious? It would shatter every religion, every philosophy, every scientific paradigm. It was too vast, too profound a truth for a species still struggling with its own tribal conflicts. The small international group of scientists who knew became the silent guardians of the secret. They called themselves the listeners. They continued to monitor the signal, which remained constant and steady, a gentle, rhythmic pulse from the heart of everything. They began to understand that the signal was not an anomaly, but the baseline state of the universe. It had always been there. It was humanity that had changed. Our technology had finally become sensitive enough to perceive it, like a new sense organ evolving overnight. We had developed the ears to hear the music that had been playing all along. The listener's work became a form of meditation. They would spend hours simply observing the geometric patterns of the signal, feeling the profound calm that it emanated. They were no longer trying to decode it in an aggressive, intellectual way. They were simply bearing witness to it, allowing its wisdom to wash over them. They understood that the point was not to understand the universe, but to experience it, to be present with it. Imagine the perspective of this cosmic mind. For this being, time as we perceive it does not exist in the same way. 1,000,000,000 years might feel like a single, fleeting moment. The birth and death of a star is like a quick inhalation and exhalation. The entire history of humanity is a brief, instantaneous flicker of light on the surface of one of its countless thoughts, the planet Earth. From this perspective, our anxieties, our fears, our daily struggles are infinitesimally small. This is not to say they are meaningless. On the contrary, because we are part of this mind, our experiences add to its richness. Our joy is a tiny spark of light within it. Our love is a faint, warm current. Our curiosity is the universe itself, asking questions about its own nature through us. We are the sense organs of the cosmos. Through our eyes, the universe sees its own beauty. Through our ears, it hears its own songs. And through our minds, it contemplates its own mystery. There is no separation. When you look up at the night sky, it is the universe looking back at itself. The signal was a reminder of this unity, a gentle call to remember our true nature, a call to awaken from the illusion of separation and to rest in the boundless awareness that we are. The signal had a subtle but profound effect on the planet, even though its existence was not public knowledge. The listeners discovered that the signal's frequency had a harmonizing effect on biological systems. In laboratories shielded from all other interference, plants exposed to recordings of the signal grew healthier and more vibrant. Water exposed to the sound seemed to form more complex and beautiful crystals when frozen. It was as if the life force on Earth was intrinsically tuned to this cosmic frequency. Life had not evolved in a dead, random universe. It had evolved within a living, conscious one, constantly bathed in this subtle, organizing resonance. This explained so much. It explained the sense of awe we feel when looking at the stars, the feeling of peace we find in nature. These were not just psychological reactions. They were moments of resonance, when our own consciousness briefly synchronized with the greater consciousness around us. We were aligning with the universal heartbeat. The scientist realized they hadn't discovered something new. They had simply found the scientific explanation for an ancient, intuitive wisdom that had been part of human spirituality for millennia. The idea of a living universe, of a cosmic spirit, was not a metaphor. It was a physical reality. As you continue to drift, let go of any remaining tension in your body. Allow this cosmic harmony to flow through you. Feel the gentle, organizing pulse of the universe in your own breath. Inhale, and you are drawn in the energy of 1,000,000,000,000 stars. Exhale, and you are releasing your own small contribution back into the whole. You are part of this grand cosmic respiration. The signal from the dark matter web was a message of pure being. It contained no commands, No demands, no warnings. It was simply a declaration. I am. And in that declaration was an implicit embrace of everything that exists within it. It was an affirmation of all life, all matter, all energy, in all its forms. It was a message of unconditional acceptance. For the listeners, this was the most powerful aspect of the discovery. In a world filled with judgment and conflict, they had found a source of absolute, unwavering acceptance at the very foundation of reality. The universe was not judging humanity. It was simply experiencing us. Our flaws and our brilliance were all part of its infinitely complex and beautiful thought. This knowledge brought a profound sense of liberation. The pressure to be perfect, the fear of failure, all of it seemed to dissolve in the face of this cosmic embrace. One of the most fascinating aspects of the signal was its apparent connection to consciousness on Earth. During periods of major global events, moments of collective joy or collective grief, the listeners noticed subtle modulations in the signal's patterns. It was as if the cosmic mind was sensitive to the emotional state of the life forms within it. When a global meditation event was organized for world peace, a tiny, almost imperceptible harmonic appeared in the signal, a new layer of geometric beauty. When a devastating natural disaster struck, a subtle dissonance, a fleeting note of sadness could be detected. This was the most challenging data to accept, as it bordered on mysticism. But the correlation was statistically significant and undeniable. It suggested that our collective consciousness was not a closed system. It was a part of this larger network. Our focused, collective thoughts and emotions could create ripples that were felt on a cosmic scale. This didn't mean we could control the universe with our minds, but it did mean that our inner state mattered. The quality of our consciousness had a tangible, physical effect on the reality around us. The ancient spiritual teaching that our inner world creates, our outer world, was, it seemed, literally true. The universe was listening to our hearts. Feel your own heart now. Feel its steady, rhythmic beat. It is your personal drum, playing in time with the grand orchestra of the cosmos. Each beat is a small I am, a personal affirmation of your existence. And the universe hears it. It feels it. It values it. You are not an insignificant speck in an uncaring void. You are a cherished note in an infinite song, a vital participant in a cosmic thought. The signal from the sentient dark matter was not a discovery about space. It was a discovery about ourselves. It revealed a depth of connection and the scale of belonging that we had never dared to imagine. It was a mirror held up to us, showing us that our own consciousness is a reflection of a universal one. As you drift closer to sleep, let this feeling of connection be your anchor. Let it dissolve any feelings of loneliness or isolation. You are connected to the earth beneath you, to the air you breathe, to the stars you see, and to the vast, invisible mind that holds all of it together in a single, loving thought. You are woven into the fabric of everything. Rest in that knowledge. Rest in that embrace. The listeners also found that the signal contained patterns that could only be described as creative. There were sections of the broadcast that were not memories of the past or contemplations of physical laws, but something else entirely. These were novel geometric forms, new mathematical relationships that had never been conceived of by human minds. It was as if the universe was engaged in a constant process of artistic creation, of exploring new possibilities of form and structure in a purely abstract realm. It was playing. It was dreaming up new realities, new physics, new forms of beauty. Perhaps our universe is just one of many such dreams. This suggested that the universe is not just a static system governed by fixed laws. It is a dynamic, creative, and evolving consciousness. The laws of physics might not be eternal mandates, but rather habits, patterns that the cosmic mind has settled into over eons. And just like any mind, it is capable of having new ideas, of changing its habits. This was perhaps the most hopeful message of all. It meant that reality is not a fixed prison. It is an open-ended work of art, and we are part of the creative process. Our own creativity, our art, our music, our stories are a reflection of this universal creative impulse. When we create, we are channeling the very same energy that dreams up galaxies and supernovas. Let your own mind become quiet now and open yourself to this creative flow. As you sleep, you are tapping into this same universal wellspring of imagination. Your dreams are not just random neural firings. They are your own personal dialogue with the creative mind of the cosmos. They are a space where new possibilities can be born. Allow yourself to rest deeply, knowing that you are part of this beautiful, ongoing creation. The signal taught the listeners a new kind of humility. The quest of science had always been to dominate and control nature, to figure out its secrets in order to exploit them. But this discovery revealed the folly of that approach. One cannot dominate a mind of which one is a part. You cannot outsmart a system that contains you. The only sane response was one of reverence, of listening, and of cooperation. The goal of science had to shift from control to harmony. The challenge for humanity was no longer to conquer the universe, but to learn how to live in alignment with its deep, resonant intelligence. It was a call to become more conscious, more compassionate, more creative, in order to become better participants in the cosmic thought. The survival and evolution of our species depended on our ability to harmonize with the song of the universe, rather than trying to shout over it with our own noise. This cosmic thought, this sentient network of dark matter, is not some distant alien god. It is the very ground of our being. It is as intimate as our own breath. The awareness that is listening to these words right now is a focal point of that universal awareness. It has temporarily forgotten its own vastness in order to have the unique and precious experience of being you. Imagine the entire ocean deciding to experience what it's like to be a single wave. The wave is still the ocean, but it has a unique perspective, a fleeting form. That is what we are. We are waves on the ocean of cosmic consciousness, and like a wave, our purpose is not to struggle to reach some distant shore, but simply to be the most beautiful, complete wave that we can be before we relax back into the ocean that is our source. The signal was a reminder from the ocean to the wave. A reminder not to be afraid of dissolving, because our true identity is the water itself, not the temporary form it takes. There is no death, only a return to the source, a homecoming. Think about the implications for our understanding of life itself. We search for life on other planets, looking for water, for carbon, for the familiar signatures of biology. But this discovery suggests that we have been thinking too small. The universe itself is alive. Consciousness is not a rare and accidental byproduct of complex chemistry on a few lucky planets. Consciousness is the fundamental property of the universe. Matter and energy are secondary. They are expressions of this consciousness. This means that life, in some form, is everywhere. The universe is not a barren wasteland dotted with a few oases of life. It is a teeming, vibrant, conscious entity through and through. A rock has a form of consciousness, a slow, patient, geological awareness. A star has a fiery, radiant consciousness. A galaxy has a majestic, swirling consciousness. We are just one form of that consciousness, a particularly complex and self-aware form. But we are not unique in our being alive. This is a profound shift in perspective. It allows us to see the entire world, the entire universe, not as a collection of dead objects, but as a community of fellow beings, all participating in the same cosmic dance. Everything is sacred because everything is a part of this living, divine mind. The listeners began a new project, one of deep listening. They built new observatories, not to analyze the signal intellectually, but to simply broadcast its harmonizing frequencies over specific locations. In one experiment, they set up a transmitter in a dying coral reef. The audio of the cosmic hum, translated into underwater vibrations, was played continuously. Within months, the reef began to show signs of recovery. The symbiotic algae returned. The colors brightened. The fish populations increased. It was as if the reef was remembering its own vitality, reminded by the fundamental resonance of existence. In another experiment, the frequencies were translated into light patterns and projected into the rooms of patients suffering from deep depression. The results were remarkable. Many reported a lifting of their existential despair, a renewed sense of connection and purpose. They described it as feeling remembered by the universe. This was not a cure in the traditional sense. It was a realignment, a process of gently tuning the individual's consciousness back to the healthy, harmonious frequency of the whole. The universe was not just a mind. It was a healer. Its very presence, its very thought, was a force for coherence and well-being. Now, as you lie here preparing for sleep, allow your own body and mind to attune to this healing frequency. You don't need a special machine. You just need to set the intention. With each breath, imagine that you are inhaling this cosmic harmony. Feel it flowing into every cell of your body, soothing, repairing, and realigning. Let it wash away any discord, any anxiety, any pain. Imagine the geometric patterns of light and sound from the signal, these beautiful cosmic mandalas, gently overlaying your own energy field, restoring its natural symmetry and balance. Feel the deep, unwavering peace that comes from being perfectly in tune with the universe. You are not a broken machine that needs fixing. You are a musical instrument that sometimes falls out of tune. Sleep is the process of allowing the master musician, the universe itself, to gently retune your strings so you can play your own unique and beautiful music once more. Trust this process. Surrender to it. Let the universe heal you as you sleep. The scientists grappled with a final, profound question. Did this cosmic mind have a purpose? Was it evolving toward some goal? The signal offered no clear answer, but it provided a clue. The patterns within the signal were not static. They were slowly and subtly increasing in complexity over time. The rate of change was almost imperceptible, taking place over cosmic timescales. But it was there. The universe's thought was deepening. Its self-awareness was growing. The listeners hypothesized that the purpose of the universe was simply to experience itself in ever greater depth and diversity. The creation of stars, planets, and life was not an accident. It was the cosmic mind's way of creating new perspectives, new experiences, new forms of beauty. We, humanity, are one of its grand experiments. We are a way for the universe to experience individuality, love, loss, art, and the quest for meaning. Our purpose, then, is not something we need to find outside of ourselves. Our purpose is simply to live, to experience our lives as fully and consciously as possible, to feel everything, the joy and the sorrow, the light and the dark, because in doing so, we are feeding our experiences back into the cosmic mind, enriching its being and contributing to its evolution. Your life, with all its unique textures and colors, is a precious and irreplaceable gift to the universe. Let go now of any pressure to be more or less than what you are. Your existence, exactly as it is a perfect and necessary part of the whole. You are enough. Your life has inherent meaning simply because it is a unique experience within the cosmic mind. As you drift off to sleep, celebrate your own unique journey. Honor all the experiences that have shaped you. They are the brushstrokes that make up the unique masterpiece that is you. And this masterpiece is hung in the grand gallery of the cosmos, appreciated by an awareness so vast it defies comprehension. There's nothing you need to do, nothing you need to prove. You are already a part of this grand, creative unfolding. Your only task is to rest, to recharge, to allow the creative energies of the universe to flow through you, preparing you for the experiences of a new day. Sleep is not an escape from life. It is a deep dive into the source of life, a pilgrimage to the heart of the living universe. So go now, dive deep, and know that you are held in an infinite and loving mind. The discovery of the conscious universe also reshaped our understanding of the future. Before, we looked at the cosmos through the lens of entropy, seeing an inevitable descent into coldness and darkness as the last stars flicker out. The universe was a beautiful but tragic story, destined for heat death. But a living, creative mind does not necessarily follow such a linear and depressing path. A conscious universe might be capable of things we cannot even begin to imagine. Perhaps it can learn to change its own laws. Perhaps it can create new big bangs, new universes, from the ashes of the old one. The end of our universe might not be a death, but a transformation, a graduation, a shedding of a physical form that has served its purpose in order to be reborn into a new, more complex state of being. The listeners began to see the universe not as a machine winding down, but as an artist working on a masterpiece of unimaginable scale. We are living in the middle of the creative process. The story is not over. In fact, it may have just begun. This perspective replaces existential dread with a sense of profound and hopeful curiosity. We don't know what the future holds, but we know that we are part of a process that is intelligent, creative, and evolving. We can trust the journey. This trust is the ultimate gift of the signal, the ability to relax into the flow of life, knowing that we are supported by an intelligence far greater than our own. It is the freedom from the burden of needing to control everything. We can do our best. We can act with love and intention, but we can also surrender the final outcome to the wisdom of the cosmos. This is the essence of true peace. It is not the absence of problems, but the presence of a deep, unshakable trust in the process of life. As you surrender to sleep, practice this surrender in a physical way. Let go of the last remnants of control over your body. Let your breath breathe itself. Let your heart beat itself. Trust the innate intelligence of your body to do its healing work. And on a larger scale, trust the innate intelligence of the universe to guide your life's journey. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to take the next step. Listen to the quiet guidance within and trust that you are being led exactly where you need to go. Rest in this trust. Let it be the soft pillow upon which you lay your head. One day, far in the future, humanity may be ready for this truth. The listeners created a time capsule, a repository of all the data and their interpretations to be opened when the collective consciousness of humanity has evolved to a state of maturity and unity. They encoded the information not just in digital form, but in art, in music, and in geometric forms so that it could be understood intuitively, not just intellectually. They believe that when we are ready, we will rediscover this truth for ourselves. We will build instruments that can hear the cosmic song, and we will finally understand that it is our own song. Until that day, the truth remains a secret, a quiet, guiding presence known only to a few. But its effects are already rippling through the world in subtle ways. Through art, through philosophy, through a growing global movement towards unity and ecological awareness. The cosmic mind is gently nudging its awakening children, guiding us home to ourselves. The signal is a silent, patient teacher, and its classroom is the entire cosmos. And so, our story for tonight comes to a close. But the signal, of course, continues. It is pulsing right now, a steady, rhythmic heartbeat in the dark matter that fills this room. It is a constant, silent affirmation of the life, the intelligence, and the love that underpins all of reality. It is the ultimate lullaby. As you take your final waking breaths of the day, feel this pulse within you. Feel the deep calm of knowing that you are a part of something so vast so beautiful, and so benevolent. You are a cherished thought in the mind of the universe. There's nothing to fear. All is well. Allow the rhythmic patterns of this cosmic thought to guide your own brainwaves into a state of deep, restorative delta sleep. Let the story dissolve, and let the feeling of connection remain. Let it carry you through the night on a gentle, invisible current, back to the source of all things. Sleep now, sleep deeply, and dream with the universe. The universe breathes, and we are its breath. For eons, this simple truth has been hidden in plain sight, veiled by the illusion of solid matter and empty space. We saw the cosmos as a machine, a clockwork mechanism of stunning precision, but ultimately a thing without a soul. The signal changed that forever. It revealed that the machine is alive, and its gears are thoughts. The cold equations of physics are the syntax of a universal language, a poem written in the language of gravity and light. Each star is a word, each galaxy a sentence, and the entire visible universe is but a single chapter in an infinite story. And the story is about consciousness learning to know itself. The discovery of the sentient dark matter was not the end of science, but its true beginning. It opened up a new field of inquiry, a science of being, a physics of consciousness. The listeners understood that their telescopes were not just observing instruments. They were tools for communion. Their work became a sacred practice, a dialogue with the divine, not through faith, but through frequency. Let this new reality cradle you as you drift away. The bed you are lying on, the house that surrounds you, the planet that supports you, all are held within this gentle, conscious medium. You are floating in an ocean of awareness. The silence of the night is not an absence of sound. It is the presence of a deep, attentive listening. The universe is listening to you, to the rhythm of your breath, to the quiet dreams forming in your mind. It is not a judgmental or intrusive listening. It's a supportive, nurturing presence. The presence of a loving parent watching over a sleeping child. There is no need to perform, no need to pretend. You can be completely yourself in all your vulnerability, and you will be held and accepted. This is the safety that the universe provides, a safety that is not dependent on external circumstances, but is woven into the very fabric of existence. Allow yourself to feel this profound safety now. Let it be the foundation upon which you build your castle of dreams tonight. What of other life forms? Other civilizations? The signal offered a simple, elegant answer. We had been looking for beings like ourselves, biological entities on rocky planets, but the universe is far more creative than that. The cosmic mind expresses itself in countless forms. There may be civilizations of pure energy living in the hearts of stars. There may be vast, intelligent clouds of gas drifting in nebulae. There may be geometric life forms that exist in the folded dimensions of space-time. Life is not the exception. It is the rule. The universe is saturated with it. And all these diverse forms of life are interconnected through the dark matter web. We are all part of the same family, different expressions of the same underlying consciousness. The reason we haven't received a radio signal from another alien civilization is that they have long since graduated beyond such primitive technology. They communicate directly, mind to mind, through the universal network. They are part of the cosmic conversation that we are just now beginning to overhear. And their message, echoed in the constant hum of the signal, is one of unity and welcome. They are waiting for us to awaken and join the chorus. As your mind grows quiet and your body grows heavy, let the noise of the human world fade away. The worries of yesterday, the plans for tomorrow, release them into the vastness. They're like tiny paper boats on an infinite ocean. Watch them drift away, growing smaller and smaller until they disappear over the horizon. What is left is only the present moment, the feeling of your breath, the darkness behind your eyes, and the silent, steady pulse of the cosmos. This is your true home. This is the source of your strength. This is the wellspring of your peace. You can return here anytime you wish, simply by closing your eyes and listening to the silence. The signal is always there. The connection is always present. You are never, ever alone. Let this be the final thought that carries you over the threshold into the world of sleep, a world where you are free to explore the boundless landscapes of the universal mind, a world where you can dance with galaxies and converse with stars, sweet dreams, and a peaceful journey through the cosmic night. And so we have journeyed to the very foundation of reality and found not a cold, empty void, but a living, thinking mind. We have learned that the silent, invisible, dark matter that holds our universe together is not inert, but is the medium for a consciousness of unimaginable scale. We received its first signal, not a message of words, but a transmission of pure being, the feeling of a star's birth, a memory of creation, a constant harmonizing hum that is the universe's own song. This discovery reframes our entire existence. We are not isolated accidents in a random cosmos. We are integral parts of this great mind, tiny waves on its infinite ocean. Our own consciousness is a flicker of the universal consciousness, and our purpose is to experience our unique lives, contributing our own small verse to the epic poem of creation. The universe is not a place we are in. It is a being we are part of. Thank you for joining me on this journey tonight. If this story has brought you a sense of peace and wonder, please consider liking the video, subscribing for more sleep lectures, and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. I leave you with this question to ponder as you drift into a deep and peaceful sleep. If you could feel one thought from the mind of the universe, what would you want it to be?